Evening all, welcome to Elite Dangerous, and we are on a planet, and I just finished playing my little Dust-inspired game. If only that was true, eh? That'd be pretty fun to do. Shameless plug for Twitter. I know a lot of people don't follow Twitter because you're not a 14-year-old girl looking to find out what the latest makeup and shoes accessory combinations are, but sadly I do. And I use it because actually it's a good portal to get a bit of feedback from people. So yeah, I do read comments, but reading comments obviously is a fair few of them, so it does sometimes slip me by. Whereas when you are tweeted, generally, you always find that the tweet is read. So I would just going to leave that up there, just as a shameless plug. If you don't have Twitter, you should consider it because, you know, it's not the 1980s anymore, brah. And I think you should definitely consider getting Twatter because it is quite good indeed. In fact, having a bit of fun with it at the moment, producing some little dust GIFs for it, so definitely have a look. Anyway, oh my god, we're on a planet. Where's my ship gone? What's going on? This is Elite Dangerous Horizons. Named Horizons because that's all there is to see. There's nothing really you could do. There's not much to see. Yes, people have found alien life. It's pretty good, actually. Would I say it's worth like $20 above and beyond Elite Dangerous? No. I think it needs a bit of work, yeah. But it is incredibly fun, and I think it just shows you how flipping exciting the whole Elite Dangerous project is going to be. The fact that already they're only what, a year and a half in now, because we went to the launch event. Check the video; it's in the channel somewhere. We did enjoy the launch event, and it was very interesting. And quite frankly, it was an interesting kind of show of what this game is going to become. Now, I would just stress this is I think the first of many expansions. The simple fact that they've added planetary landing is a big kind of up yours to a lot of the competition. I think there is a bit of an arms race going on at the moment. So you've got Star Citizen, you've got Space Engineers, which is kind of a different game, but we'll come to it. And then you have Elite Dangerous, and then you have EVE Online, and there's probably a few others, but those to me are the kind of main competitors. With obviously Star Citizen being the kind of United States of America of the lot because they're the richest, most powerful, and certainly the most, I think, funded. Looks probably the most impressive. Elite is a bit of the Brit. It's less well funded. It's a bit of an underdog, but it's going out there in its khaki shorts, striding into the depths of Africa, trying to forge a path for itself. And I do respect that. I think that's pretty freaking awesome. So I think it's going to be an interesting view to see where it goes. Now, we all are also doing Space Engineers as well. So if you checked out any of the videos recently, go and have a look. Now that planets are in Space Engineers, oh, it's so good. I really, really like planets. I really do in Space Engineers. I think they've done a great job with it. Whereas in Elite, not so much. I think it's still very good. Technically a lot better, don't get me wrong. Very, very accurate in the physics. But I would say actually there's very little to do. And I think if there's ever a subtext or a kind of, you know, sales line that comes after Elite Dangerous, it should really read Elite Dangerous, there's not much to do. And I find that's a sad part of the game because there is definitely not enough to do. There we go. I don't know. Post in the comments, tell me what you think. I love this game, and I have every time for this game, and I will play this game until I'm literally just twitching, you know, in the corner like a gibbering wreck because I do like it and I get such a kick from it. But every so often I'll sit there and sort of go, what to do now? Bum. And then I kind of just say, well, I'll go make a cup of tea. Then I go downstairs and I will all of a sudden get lost in something like a Lego figure or something like that, and I get completely lost. And I think that's the issue because I think that is probably a sign that there's not enough to do. Now, I never had this with EVE Online. Now, for those of you who don't know, I played EVE Online since the first release, and since beta, in fact. And I played it up until the point where it almost killed me, pretty much. So I decided that I'm never going to go back to EVE. Well, I say that, I actually am considering going back and playing with the Titans I've got. Just because it took years to make the fucking thing. So I thought, well, why not go and have a bit of a play? But I think, again, those are games that I think I never got bored because there really was always something to do. Now, a lot of people will say, well, that's not true, I got bored playing EVE. Well, then that's because you probably didn't do as much as maybe some of the other players did. Like, I built Titans, I did mining, I did PvP, I did try to do everything. I wanted to become a true master of none, jack of all trades. And in Elite, I've not done that. I've just kind of gone with I don't want to trade too much because I just don't have the time. I don't really want a PvP exclusively because I'm not very good at it. And I think really for me, the exploration bit was fun, but I got lost in my first trip and lost a lot of money. So I'm kind of a little bit, ambivalent to it all at the moment. But I still do feel that this is something definitely to watch. And now that it's coming on Steam relatively cheaply, I would recommend if you've not got this game, you go and get it. Although you're probably not going to be watching a video of a game you don't have. I don't know. Maybe you are. Post in the comments, let me know. So I think for me, let's look at Horizons generally. What's my thoughts on it? Well, it's good. I like it. I think it's got a lot of potential. It's a very enjoyable game. The first thing I wanted to do when I got on the planet was just wreck the vehicle as quick as I could. And that just stems from my kind of Friday nights being a boy racer, racing around town and having a bit of fun. That's obviously what I used to do. So for me, I'm always kind of intrigued to see if I can break it. And again, if you've seen any of the Space Engineer stuff, you'll probably understand what I mean by that, because I find it very enjoyable breaking things. And I think in this game, it's not so forgiving, because in this game, if you break it, you're in a bit of trouble. And I'm a bit worried about that. I don't know. Let's see how it goes. But for me, so far, I've put in about 12 hours of this Horizons patch, and I found nothing. I found a couple of bases. I found a few things. I never found a crash ship, because that would have been wicked to find a crash ship. Didn't find anything. Flown about a lot. Landed on very impressive caves, craters, things like that. And I've had, just generally, I would say, not the best of times. I've not found it particularly enjoyable. I've not found it particularly enlightening. I think it's just been a bit boring, if I'm honest. And I'm sorry to say that, but maybe I'm missing something. Post in the comments, tell me what I'm missing. But for me, I went and explored some kind of outer rim worlds that were kind of far off in the deeps of space. Didn't find anything, so I then came back and explored planets in high population systems. Found a few drones, found a few caches, found a few bases, and I'm thinking, is this it? Is nothing more? And I was a bit disappointed. I am very disappointed, unfortunately. But if you look at what the unique selling point of the game is, there is one, and there is something that does make it maybe worth the money, and it's what you're seeing right now. So look at the screen, stop, turn away from YouPorn or whatever it is you're watching. Look at the screen right now, and you'll see, right, we can pick any of these craters and say, okay, let's go to that crater or that rock face there, and let's go and park next to it, and let's go and throw our buggy off it. Now, some of you may think that that's very puerile and very childish, and you're right, it is. But I think that's actually one of the reasons why you play computer games, is to do stupid stuff like this. So I think that's actually the plan. So you see there's a great big cliff there to the right, well, left upper there, you can see. And I think we'll just go and basically land on top of it and just throw ourselves off it. Now, when a game's mechanic basically forces you to try and break stuff like that, I often do wonder if there's enough going on in the game. I did hope that there would be more emergent stuff. I know they even posted a thing recently that said, hey, we've just added loads more emergent stuff. I'm not too sure about it. I don't know. I had another, this is recent, I played this recently, and it didn't feel like anything was there. So I could be wrong. I could well be wrong, but I wasn't too impressed with just there being nothing out here. Plus, I did want to land on populated planets. If you've played Space Engineers, you're spoilt for choice with that ability to land on moons, rocky kind of Mars-like planets, Earth-like planets as well. You can walk within the trees, you can walk within the corn, and it's pretty impressive. And I think they really should have tried to release that with this in Horizons. Now, I know technically nightmare to do that, but I just wanted to put it on record that I think only being able to land on rocky moony planetoids was a bit boring. I know it's controversial, but I just think it was. I didn't really get the kick out of it that I thought I would. But having said that, there's always a but. I would say that the mechanics are excellent. That feeling that you're actually landing on a planetary body, I think, is probably the best I've seen yet. I haven't delved too deeply into Star Citizen yet, and I think that's something I'm just kind of holding off, because again, I'm trying to manage my addiction, let's say. But I think I'm definitely interested to see where that goes, because that could be pretty epic. The fact that you would then strap on a suit, put on a gun, and walk out and shoot stuff. To me, it does signal the death of this kind of sharded games. And let me explain what I mean by that. So sharded games are where you've got Elite, or rather Eve, sorry, let me start that again. You've got Eve, which is your spaceship simulator. You had Dust as your boots on the ground simulator. And then they're two separate games. And they're actually very difficult to connect, right? Having everything in one game is very clever, and I think that, and again, you could argue that Elite Dangerous have done that because they've made this technically a separate game. The Horizons module is a separate product, so I'm not too sure that was too wise, to be honest. I do think that the merit behind a lot of SaaS development, that's software as a service development, which is what a lot of these games are doing. I'm not sure Star Citizen is going to have it. I think that's just going to be a big game that will be released and that's your lot. But certainly Eve and certainly Elite Dangerous, they've been built with that kind of agile SaaS mentality, which is we're going to build a product and we're going to keep improving it until people stop playing it, and then we'll go and do another one that you'll go and buy. And that's cool. I like those kind of products. They, to me, are very much what I would want to play. I suspect, though, that having a separate game kind of defeats the object, because you've got, I mean, I can only imagine that when Eve players heard that Dust was coming, they were over the moon, but then they found out it was on PS4 and they weren't, because that meant they couldn't play it without that technological barrier. I think the same is true probably with this, but there is still that barrier of money, so you've got to pay a bit of money to get access to this module. To me, I probably would have just said, well, I don't know, I don't know how much this costs, but if the business had worked and they weren't just trying to make money out of everything, then they should have just made this a free inclusion to the Elite Dangerous piece. And then I'm a big fan of microtransactions. I know a lot of people are going to hate me for that, but I don't mean deny content through microtransactions. I mean, if you want to have little bobbleheads and paints and skins, then by all means do that, because you don't need that. What I would rather we not have is basically a whole barrier to the game, where you're never going to meet another player, really. You know, it's going to be unlikely to meet another player unless you go to the same system and so on. You know, to me, it just doesn't feel right. So there we go. As you can see, we're doing our kind of extreme douchebag sports douchebaggery as we try and just throw this down the hill. I love the thought that I'm just going to throw this into the rocks. It reminds me of a Friday night back in my my hometown, which I won't mention, but we used to go out on a Friday night in the cars. My old little Escort XR3i. Yes, that's right. I had a 3i. That shows my age a bit now. And I used to love just literally just driving the thing around, kind of doing silly things with it, like maybe handbrake turns and things like that. And then in the morning, I'd wonder why my handbrake hadn't worked and my car had just rolled all the way into the middle of the street and everyone was beeping their horns. I love that thought. And I think that's certainly, I wish this game was a bit more like that. Now, if there's one game that is like that, it's Space Engineers. That thought that you can go for a little spin to do a mission, to go and get ice, or just go and have a look at something on the other side of the planet or the other side of the system, use your jump drive, whatever. As you get back, you realise that half your ship's hanging off. You've got power problems and you're doing gently a very slow circle in space thinking, I've hit something, or I've hit something, I'm not sure. You go around to the front of your ship and you find a little old lady with a with a little shopping trolley wrapped around your front bumper of your starship, and you're like, how the hell did that happen? I think that's the kind of fun that I think a lot of players look for in this kind of open world sandbox. Now, Elite, unfortunately, doesn't have this very well because, on the planet, you'll find little rocks that you can shoot, you can then scoop, and then they become a resource that you can use. It feels such an afterthought. Really, it does. I just don't like it. I don't know. It just doesn't appeal to me. Nothing of this Horizon thing has appealed to me except landing, taking off. That's it. If there's a combat element that that's yet to be seen, then please post in the comments and tell me. But I've met drones. I've shot them down. It's been pretty boring because it's auto aim. I'm not impressed. And I think I tried to throw this flipping thing off a cliff, literally a space cliff, no less, and it didn't really work. It's a little bit damaged, but I think, again, this is just a bit of an example where it's such a nice concept, it's such a nice game, it doesn't really go anywhere. And as you see here, we just try and stack it into a rock. I'm still not dead. I don't know. I'm not sure. we'll continue to play this. I think it's going to be more focused on maybe the spaceship game, because unless I'm missing something very obvious and I am that idiot who's looking the wrong way at the parade, then I just didn't really see the merit of it. So there we go. Anyway, quick reminder, remember to follow us on Twitter. I know it's shameless, but it really is our coordination unit, so please do so. Hope you enjoyed that. See you next time.